Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well today. Welcome back to Pacific Front channel. After months of military build-up and tons of threats and warnings, what we've been afraid of has finally happened. On 24 February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine in a three-pronged attack. At the time of recording, Kiev is still standing, Russian forces are gathering near the capital, and negotiation for a ceasefire is still ongoing. What happened to Ukraine is very unfortunate, but at the same time, it should be a wake-up call for other countries including Indonesia, because no one can guarantee that this won't happen to us in the future. And if that happens, I'm afraid we won't last for long like Ukraine did. As we already discussed over and over again in this channel, Indonesia is a non-aligned country with a free and active foreign policy. We're not formally aligned with or against one major power bloc, and we are not part of any defense alliance either. The good side about it is we can avoid being dragged into a conflict amongst major power. But the bad side is we are alone. Saying that we have no enemies and will not be involved in military conflict or even war against other countries is a dangerous thought. Russia's invasion of Ukraine can be a lesson for us that conventional warfare still exists. An attack originating from other countries is a real threat. And we must be vigilant to see who can become a threat to us one day. So who can threaten our sovereignty? Because we are non-aligned country, everyone is a possible threat. But our number one threat is of course China. It's been happening for years now about their 9-dash line claim in the South China Sea, which is crossing the Indonesian EEZ. Many times, their vessels have been caught entering our waters, including several cases of Chinese-made underwater drones being caught by local fishermen. They are also getting bolder in flexing their muscles in the disputed waters and beyond. When we are too focused on building up a base in Natuna, sending more assets to that area, they are already playing in the south. Last month's incident with Australia should be a warning for us. Like I said in last week's video, their vessels are sailing in a place they shouldn't be. Not only that, the composition of the vessels were also worrying. A guided missile destroyer with an amphibious transport dock sailing in our water uncontested is very dangerous. What if their LPD is filled with 600 to 800 Marines along with their vehicles? They can occupy a small island for weeks or even months if they want to, protected from aerial and surface counterattacks by their destroyer. Second is AUKUS, a trilateral security partnership between Australia, the UK, and the US. Although their main focus for now is to help Australia to build their own nuclear submarine, this is the only military alliance in the region with the capacity to counter China dominance in the Indo-Pacific region. If war breaks out between the two blocs, it doesn't matter if we are neutral or not, prepared or not, we'll be in the crossfire. And remember, all members have 5th-gen fighter aircraft that can perform a deep strike into Indonesian territory undetected and unchallenged. And the last one is the Five Power Defense Agreement or FPDA. A defense relationship between 5 Commonwealth members consists of Australia, Malaysia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the UK. Although there is no specific commitment to intervene militarily and the agreement is merely consultative, they have something that we don't have, an ally. So why do I consider it a threat? Because if we look at the geographic location of its members, we are being surrounded. As a country that does not have any defense alliance, building a strong defense posture is a must. We have to admit that our armed forces haven't reached the bare minimum of its ideal posture. It's really unfortunate that in the past, our modernization program has lost 5 years of valuable time without significant improvement. Thankfully, some of the assets that should have been procured in the previous phase now have been signed and waiting for activation. Hopefully, we are not too late. But we can't just stop there. We still have a lot of homework to do. Most of our defense equipment is obsolete and desperately needed a replacement. Naval vessels, marine equipment, and air defense equipment to say the least. However, the modernization effort should not be carried out carelessly either. It must be based on what we need or capability-based approach while also taking into account the evolving threat factors or threat-based approach. For example, we do need a new ground-based radar, but we must take into account the threat from 5th-gen fighter aircraft as well. So the requirement for the new radar should include the capability to detect stealth aircraft too. Furthermore, as a consequence of our territory and our foreign policy, our defense spending requires a lot of funding. In Southeast Asia, we are the only country with defense funding less than 1% of the GDP, while Singapore, which is surrounded by relatively peaceful neighbors, has close ties with the US and is a member of the FPDA, has a defense budget of more than 3% of their GDP, because they knew only they can guarantee their own sovereignty. Therefore, I think it is necessary to increase our defense budget to 1.5% to accommodate all of our defense requirement, or even 3% of the GDP, because we are alone. I know it's not easy. We need strong commitment from the government and awareness from everyone that we are not as strong as we think. But we have to try to reach it no matter how. Few weeks ago, I was upset because there was a political party who opposed the Rafale contract under the pretext that our current enemy is a pandemic. Have they lost their mind? But I guess after what happened to Ukraine, I don't have to explain the reason anymore. In summary, although what happened to Ukraine is unfortunate, it should be a lesson to Indonesia that the threat of an invasion by other country is real. Indonesian foreign policy, although it can prevent us from being dragged into conflict amongst major power, also means that we are alone, and the threats we face may come from everywhere. China, AUKUS, and FPDA are some of them. To prevent what happened to Ukraine from happening to us in the future, we need to build a strong defense posture. Our modernization effort must no longer be based on our needs alone, but also take into account the existing and future threats as well. And lastly, it is necessary to increase our defense budget from under 1% to maybe 1.5 or even 3% of our GDP so that we can achieve the ideal defense posture in the shortest possible time. Because peacetime like this is the best time to prepare and improve the quality of our defense equipment. As the old saying goes, therefore let him who desire peace prepare for war.